We traveled over 4,000 miles to get to the literal end of the road in North America. We came for the wildness. They call this the halibut capital of the world, and the views are absolutely insane. But we found something else. We found a town built on a sandbar, a saloon wallpapered in money, and we're doing it all with a busload of new friends on the Gondwana Eco Tour. Welcome to episode 5. We made it to Homer, Alaska, and I promise you have never met a pet like the 2,000-pound beast we're visiting today. We are Czyz Adventures. Today we are finishing the drive down the Sterling Highway to the very bottom of the Kenai Peninsula. We will be bringing you quite a variety. This Homer episode is part of a larger Alaska playlist. From glacier dog sledding and kayaking in pouring rain to hikes near Seward. I'll link the full playlist below. But for today, we're stopping at Moose Creek to see the salmon run, taking a boat deep into Kachemak Bay to see wildlife and a floating oyster farm, and having a picnic on a beach that disappears when the tide goes in. But the real hidden gem is up on the hills. We're visiting a private nature preserve and meeting some true Alaskan homesteaders. But first, we have to get there. And in Alaska, the drive is half the adventure. Well, let's go. Made a quick stop at a fish viewing area. We should be able to see some salmon. It is on the way to Homer, just up the road from a fish hatchery. Our guide was just telling us that over 400,000 fish return every year to lay their eggs. Can't imagine, that's a ton of fish. After spending 3 to 5 years at sea, salmon return to the exact freshwater streams where they were born, just to spawn and then die. Alaska has 5 species of Pacific salmon, and this was the perfect place to finally lock them into memory. Thumb is chum, pointer is sockeye, middle is king, ring is silver, pinky is pink.
Salmon.
Watching this life cycle unfold in real time felt a little sad. But their bodies feed the eagles, the bears, and even the trees along the bank. The whole ecosystem relies on this journey. You can't come to Homer without getting out on the water. Kachemak Bay is Alaska's first state park, and its only wilderness park. Nearly 400,000 acres of mountains, glaciers, forest, and ocean. This is pretty steep. We headed out with Coldwater Alaska Taxi, and within minutes, the wildlife started showing up. Gull Island alone hosts more than 20,000 seabirds at peak season, and the sound is unreal. We even saw sea otters with their pups, floating on their backs, rotating in the water to trap air in their incredibly dense fur. Unlike river otters, they don't rely on fat to stay warm. Everything about them is adapted to this cold, wild place. One thing we didn't expect to find out here, a floating oyster farm. Alaska Shellfish Farms raises Glacier Point oysters that take 3 to 4 years to mature, sold on the honor system when available. We're going to get some, but I don't think there's any in there.
Oh, all gone.
They were sold out for the day, but just seeing it felt very Alaska.
Are they pearl-bearing oysters?
So the oyster bar has shucked over 1 million oysters. So they found one.
Wow. They found pearl? They found one pearl.
They found
1 million oysters?
Yeah.
You need sand for the pearl.
Yep.
As we headed to shore for our lunch stop, we caught sight of a beautiful bald eagle. We stopped at Wright Beach for a picnic. We were ready for some exploration. What we found was black sand,
This is fine, just like pepper.
caves, campsites with an outhouse and bear box, a yurt that could be rented for $75 a night, a trail that takes you up a steep rock face, and a tide that quietly transformed the entire landscape while we were there. We did a little exploring, found that yurt. I said there was some starfish down here, so I'm gonna take a look. Saw a jellyfish earlier. When we arrived, we could walk right up to the starfish clinging to the rocks. A couple of hours later, the water was starting to swallow them completely.
Tide's coming up, so you can see the starfish back there. A little hard to see now, but pretty much about half an hour ago, I walked right up to them. And we're having a good time here on the beach. We just had some sandwiches, and Betty's drinking wine for lunch in Alaska. The sandy beach here is beautiful, and we're just kind of chilling out and enjoying ourselves.
How was your lunch?
Great lunch break here on Right Beach, as opposed to Left Beach, which is Kachemak Bay, Alaska. And yeah, it was fun.
We're gonna see if we can find some harbor seals. We're leaving. On the way back, we passed through Poot Bay and found an entire colony of harbor seals stretched out on the beach, completely unbothered by us drifting past.
Oh, there's one swimming right there. Yeah, right to the left.
Before we knew it, it was time to say goodbye to the harbor seals and the marine wildlife. The Homer Spit was calling us in.
Spit in Homer, Alaska is like the Florida Keys of Florida. It's just extends out about, well, it looks like 4 or 5 miles right into the ocean. They got a lot of nice little shops here, restaurants. Betty actually found a liquor store at the end of the Spit, right, Betty?
I did. I found some place to get some Bacardi. I might have a drink later.
She's all set for Denali and Dick Prenige's cabin
That's
now.
right. Homer itself is a town of about 5,500 people, sitting right on the shores of Kachemak Bay, and it somehow feels both rugged and relaxed at the same time. We wandered the Spit and stopped at one of the most famous landmarks in town. Salty Dawg Saloon. If you've been to Homer and you didn't go here, then did you really go to Homer?
Okay, this is the Salty Dawg Saloon. And there is money all over the place.
How's the atmosphere in the Salty Dawg?
It's great. I'm drinking a Heritage Dog lager at the Salty Dawg in Homer. It's 56 degrees, and all these ladies are in tank tops. Look at this. It's incredible. It's like Buffalo.
Must be a tradition of leaving dollar bills signed. The bar is full of them inside. So we're here at the Salty Dawg and met a wonderful couple here. Can you tell me a little bit about yourselves?
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Je suis française. I'm French from France. I live near Germany and Switzerland. And my name is Henriette. And I like traveling. And I met
Betty and
these
Vito.
lovely people. So we're having a good time. And Alaska is so beautiful, wonderful of nature. So, and I like the United States very much. All of the national parks and the states.
You've been all over. She's my kind of hiking partner. And this is?
Hey, I'm Brad. I'm from North Carolina. and kind of a global traveler with my partner, as you just met. And we love to explore and see what's out in the world. And we've met, again, great people here that are interviewing us. So we're happy to be a part of that. And thanks very much.
This was a random meet and greet, and I loved it. I had such a great time talking with you. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
We just had such a wonderful conversation, a late afternoon with a couple. This was some random connection. I had such a good time.
And you know what? Betty didn't want to stay at the Spit. She was giving me such a hard time about going to the Spit. I said, you never know what's going to happen at the Spit. So let's go to the Spit.
I know. And they are travelers, and they've been to some wonderful places. And I'm hoping that we're going to connect in the future. Who knows? These chance encounters are part of what makes towns like this so special. Another side of Homer is its commitment to conservation and education. At Inspiration Ridge Preserve, a naturalist-led hike introduced us to the ecosystems that support wildlife here, serving as a wildlife corridor, protecting watersheds, and educating visitors.
We have 700 acres and about 8 miles of trails. So it was founded in the 80s by Nina Fost and her husband, and then gifted to Coastal Studies in 2019.
Even in the rain, it was fascinating to learn how many native plants have medicinal or practical uses.
This is cow parsnip. It's all over the place out here. You can eat it like celery.
These stalks, once they're tall and they dry out, they're super hollow. So kids will play with them like blow darts. You can eat it in almost every stage of its life. This is one of the berries that you should stay away from. Most of our berries are edible, but you should definitely stay away from this one. It's called baneberry, and it takes 6 of these to kill an adult.
And yes, I finally sorted out the difference between baneberry, elderberry, and devil's club.
Have you guys been down there yet? Really important part of Homer's economy, and kind of that's what Homer's known for. So this is a naturally occurring landform. So it is actually a terminal moraine of a glacier. As those glaciers receded, what happened was the Homer Spit. Sediment coming off of the ice when it receded formed this long spit. It's about 4.5 miles long. The 1964 earthquake lowered it by 5 feet and destroyed a lot of the buildings on there. So since then, people have had to bring in materials to kind of reinforce it, but it's been this way for a while, and it's naturally occurring, which is really cool.
What do you think?
Very educational. She knew every plant, everything was edible, non-edible, and pointed everything out to us.
On our way to our final stop, we caught sight of a mama moose and her baby. The baby was just too cute.
You're in for a treat. In gallery.
One of the most memorable experiences was visiting Alaskan homesteaders and artists Jeff and Ranja Dean. They built their entire homestead from scrap materials, discarded wood, and raw creativity. Gardens, studios, workshops, and sweeping views over Kachemak Bay. From heat-colored steel engravings to donkey-powered gardening, this was Alaskan ingenuity in its purest form. So the koi fish can't live here, so she made sculptures.
I love gardening. So we grow a lot of different things. This one is called bee balm. I use this one for tea. I just snip it off like that and dry it. It makes a wonderful tea. These are pink currants. They're starting to turn pink. They're not ripe yet. They would be super tart right now. This one's hyssop. It makes a really good tea and also for cooking. This is my sage right here. Dry all bone herbs and teas and make salves and tinctures and all that stuff. So this is yarrow right here. And that's how I dry all my herbs. I dry a huge amount. It smells so nice in here.
And this is your bee balm.
Yeah, bee balm, and then I have chamomile in here. So this is chamomile.
It smells so nice.
Oh yeah, it does smell nice.
So these are all for tea.
That's
and
cool.
this is hyssop, which is a good herb too. I'm so busy in the summer doing that I actually only do art in the winter, and Jeff does it all year round. He's got projects he's working on right now that he will show you.
I'm doing for a hospital up in Bethel, just on the Kuskokwim River.
It's an exterior piece. It'll be mounted on the outside of the building. It's all cut out of aluminum. It'll be 48 feet wide. So it's cut out of about 18 or 19 4x8 sheets. Now we'll get butted together and then joined with riveted joining plates that go behind the seam.
We were lucky enough to view some of their finished artwork in their on-site studio. With this being a homestead, you're bound to find animals.
These are rabbit houses, and I built these for our daughter when she was 13. I used the little brown one in the garden. I have a little plow and cultivator. I ride the bigger one sometimes, but not now really since I have a horse. The horses are more fun.
Yeah.
I use their fur whenever we do lime plaster. I don't know if you guys noticed, but in the little cabin there, the ceiling is a lime plaster. And you need some kind of fiber in there for strength, so I chop up donkey fur and use it in that. We have a lot of plaster in our house. And then I use all their manure for the gardens.
And then there was Yeti the YOW, a cross between a yak and a cow, weighing well over 2,000 pounds. Because, of course, it's Alaska.
I didn't think he was going to get this big, so I actually trained him to pull the little plow. I grew up riding horses, and I didn't have a horse to ride, so I thought, well, I'm just going to train him to ride, so I did. So I trained him to kneel down so I could climb on, and then I would trailer him to the beach and ride along the surf. I would take him swimming in the ocean. He'd swim out through the ocean a ways and then turn around and come swimming back through the waves. He doesn't understand his own power at all and how massive he is. I've ridden him for quite a few years, and so now he's basically a giant pet.
Homer may sit at the end of the road, but for us, it was the perfect pause before heading deeper into Alaska. Next up, we trade boats for bush planes, flying into some of the most remote places we've ever experienced, including bear viewing in Katmai, Denali National Park, and eventually Twin Lakes. If you're enjoying this Alaska journey, make sure you're subscribed, and we'll see you on the next adventure.